So going to chapter 23, good morning. So going to chapter 23 in economics, the impact of changes in the supply and demand for labor and trade union activity in labor markets. So we're going to start with changes in demand and supply of labor. We already know what demand for labor is. The number of workers firms are willing to employ at a given wage rate. That is demand for labor. And for supply of labor, we're talking about the numbers of workers making themselves available for job. So most of the time, the market will not remain the same. So we're going to start with the changes in demand for labor. The market will never remain constant, which simply means that at any point in time, demand for goods or services will increase or decrease. That is why it is not stable, it's not constant. Nothing is constant in life, everything will change. So if there's changes in the demand for labor, what would have brought about these changes? That is what we want to discuss today. So because demand for labor is a derived demand. Why is it a derived demand? It's a derived demand because it's only when workers are needed to perform a certain function. That is when they employ them. Nobody is going to employ an individual to just keep him in the office and start paying him or her. So you will be employed because there's a job for you. There's a job available. That's why demand for labor is always what? Derived demand. Do we understand that, please?
Yes.
Workers are only needed. Workers are only employed when their need arises. So if your need doesn't arise, there's no vacancy for you, then there's no point in employing you. Nobody would pay you for that. Do we understand that point, please?
Yes.
Great. So demand for labor, the demand for labor in a particular industry is unlikely to remain constant, like I just explained. So thus, an increase in the demand for labor for goods in a particular industry will bring about an increase in the demand for labor. So if, for example, the educational industry, a lot of students start, going to the schools, like the international, let's talk about the international market, international school markets, where we have different schools. And the numbers of international students keep increasing. So it means schools would have to employ more teachers, yes or no?
Yes,
so the demand for teachers would what? Would increase as a result of that. Get the point here. We are using the educational industry as an example. The international educational industry, we are using it as an example. So if the numbers of international students keep increasing, it means international schools would need more teachers to meet up with the demand, the increasing demand, yes or no?
Yes.
So this will bring about an increase in the demand curve for teachers. So here, an increase in the demand. So look at the graph here I wrote. An increase in demand for labor due to an increase in the quantity demanded for goods will bring about a rightward shift in the demand curve from DL1 to DL2. As a result, the wage rate will increase from W1 to W2. So what am I trying to say here? Using the international school as an example, an increase in students, or an increase in the numbers of international school students will bring about an increase in the demand curve for teachers. So the demand for teachers would increase, right? So the demand for teachers, if the demand for teachers is increasing, it means the quantity of labor needed in the international market would increase from QL1 to QL2. The quantity of teachers needed in international school will increase from QL1 to QL2. As a result of that, the demand curve for labor would increase, will shift rightward from DL1 to DL2. Do you understand the point here?
Yes.
There's an increasing demand, there's an increasing numbers of international students, which brings about increasing demand for teachers in international schools. QL1 to QL2 will shift the demand for labor rightward from DL1 to DL2. As a result of that, the wage rate will change from W1 to W2. So an increase in demand for labor in a particular industry will raise the wage rate of that industry. So because there's an increase in demand, which means labor is needed desperately. So firms will be willing to pay more to attract workers. That is why the wage rate will increase from W1 to W2. Do we understand that point, please?
Yes.
Do we get it?
Yes.
Then, changes in the supply of labor. An increase in the... So on the other hand, if the students of international schools, the numbers of international school students reduces, it means the demand for labor would reduce, shifting the demand curve leftward from DL2 to DL1, meaning the quantity of labor needed in the international school market would reduce from QL2 to QL1. As a result of that, the wage rate in the market will reduce from W2 to W1. Do we understand?
Yes.
Now go to the supply. Changes in the supply. An increase in the supply of labor in a particular industry. This might be as a... So, why do we have... Can you just stop that, please? Stop making any noise or whatever it is, so I can focus here, please. So for the supply of labor, we're talking about the numbers of workers making themselves available for job. One of the reasons why the supply of labor might increase is the increment in the retirement age. If the retirement age has increased, it means more people will have to stay at work than they have to stay more years at work to get to retirement. So that would increase the supply of labor. That's the first point. The other one is improvement in the quality of education and training. Training will improve your skills and knowledge, yes or no? So as soon as you have more skills and more knowledge, you become employable. As a result of that, you would be willing to work. A lot of people do not get jobs because they are not qualified. So with improvement in the quality of education and training, that improves your human capital. That makes you to be interested in working. As a result of that, the supply of labor would increase. Do we get the point I'm making here? An increase in retirement age will shift the supply curve for labor rightward. Improvement in education and training would also make workers to be more employable. As a result of that, they will be willing to work. Do you get the point here? So if this happens, the supply curve, the quantity of labor going to the market would increase from QL1 to QL2 because there are more people who want to work. The quantity of labor in the supply market would increase from QL1 to QL2, shifting the supply curve for labor rightward from SL1 to SL2. Now, there are a lot of workers making themselves available for a job. The wage rate would drop, bringing it downwards from W1 to W2. Do you get the point here?
Yes.
Hello? Are you here? Do you get the point I'm making here?
Yes.
Due to quality education, more improvement in knowledge, skills, people start, put your head up please. People start believing that they need to work. As a result of that, a lot of people want to work. Because a lot of people want to work, the quantity of labor supplied into the market will increase from PL1 to KL2, bringing about a rightward shift in the supply curve of labor from SL1 to SL2. At this point in time, the wage rate paid to workers would reduce from W1 to W2. Why is the wage rate reducing? The wage rate will reduce because now a lot of people want a job. There are few jobs available. The demand for it is still the same at any given point or at any output of labor. This is the demand curve, right? The demand for labor stays the same. So at any given quantity of labor supplied, which means more workers, a lot of people are willing to work, but the jobs available are not enough. So whoever is available, firms will negotiate a lower pay and anybody would want to take it because there are a lot of people queuing for the job. So when you have a lot of people queuing for a job, you would want to get whatever amount they want to pay you, yes or no? So that is why here, the wage rate would fall because the demand for labor is not increasing as the supply of labor is increasing. Do we get the point here? The demand for labor is not increasing, but the supply of labor has increased, which will bring about a fall in the wage rate. Here, the demand for labor is increasing while the supply of labor stays the same. That is why the wage rate would increase. Do you understand the difference between them? Do you understand the difference, please?
Yes.
Any questions about this? Thank you.